All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. I keep saying good morning because that's when we record. But now that our marketing director, who's with me as always, Jen Waybower, good morning, Jen,
Good morning.
has gotten us approved on Spotify, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You guys might be listening to this at who knows what kind of crazy hours. It might be 11 at night. So maybe I'll learn to stop saying good morning. All right. But nonetheless, we have some wonderful guests this week. A return, a repeat, an encore performance from Piper and Justin Knoll. And yes, I'm going to go back and forth giving each of you top billing, even though we know Piper's the boss. So good morning, Knowles. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Yeah, good, considering what the state of the world is right now, no question. It has certainly been an interesting year, as we discussed before going live, but it sounds like it certainly has been for you guys as well, which is good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about that, because let's dive right in. What has 2020 brought to you guys? Business, personal, that you've taken an exotic vacation to where? Grand Junction? Is that what you said?
Durango.
Ooh,
Durango.
the booming mecca of exotic vacations, Durango, Colorado.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so other than that, what have you guys been up to?
Yeah, it was interesting. We spent a lot of time really planning out this coming year, late last year. So November, December last year, we did a lot of strategic planning and meeting as a team and really laying a foundation for what we thought was going to be a really great year, really paint by numbers, right? Just let's take the guesswork out of our business and just cruise and enjoy the trust of our systems and processes and trust each other within those systems and process. So we felt really good into December, January. We had some travel in January and February and got home and boom, it hit. And what we found was those goals and all that strat planning and everything that we had laid out, we just had to crumple it up and put it to the side for now. And so I think it was a tough, it was a tough conversation to have with our team because we put so much into it and we believed so much in it. But we also knew if we only stayed on that focus, realistically, none of it was going to happen. Or at least we didn't think it would happen. And I think we were more concerned with the frustration of potentially the kind of the well-being of each other mentally. And so we just pushed pause and said, let's focus on a couple of things. One has been just accepting the fact that every day we're just trying to figure it out. That is our daily mantra together, is we're just trying to figure it out. And what that does is gives us a little bit of latitude, and it's not so precise. We don't have to be so perfect. And if something doesn't go well, we're still trying to figure it out. So I think that allowed us permission to just, okay, this is what we're doing. And we kind of put business to the side for a minute.
Yeah, we did. When the pandemic really hit, we felt like it was very tone deaf to really put out in the world all of the great we were doing with business. So we really rescaled and changed our whole business strategy in April. It went from, hey, just listed, just sold, to, hey, how can we help you? And how can we be a benefit to what you have going on right now? And how can we assist you in this hard time?
Yeah. So we wanted to get closer to our team. So we started team meetings daily. And we almost in January took down some space. We were going to get about 1,000 square foot space for our office, for our team, just our team. And we were deep into it. We were picking out furniture and this and that, and then it hit. And thankfully we didn't commit to that. But we knew we needed to be closer together. And when I studied it, what I found was our team would spend, if we were all driving into the office to be together, it was over 8 hours of commute time between all of us to get there and home. And that's just a lot of wasted time, wasted energy, wasted gas, waste of everything. And so we started Zoom meetings. So we do a Zoom meeting every single morning of the week, Monday through Friday. It's mindset stuff. We have fun. We've laughed. We've cried. We've had a lot of tears on these meetings. Not as much about business, but I think it's brought us closer together and created more levels of trust within our work and our personal lives. So we just pushed pause and had fun with it. We played a game once that was I kind of put together groups of famous people, whether they were good people, bad people, crazy people, whatever. But I did random groups together, and I said, okay, pick your quarantine team. If you had 1 week to be in quarantine with this group, which group would you pick and why? And it was fun to have conversations like that and just kind of joke. And that was fun. But there was definitely a lot of emotions being expended in that first month or so, especially in our household. We were on the phone with our government affairs team trying to make sure that real estate was still an essential service here and that we could go do our business. And so we're on the phone with them and the governor's office, and it was a lot. And so that was a roller coaster. But once that kind of settled in, we just found a new normal and just said, let's try and figure it out. So mindset has been the biggest thing.
Well, I do think the old adage of we make plans and God laughs never held more true than it does in 2020. And it certainly sounds to me like while that's certainly been the case for everybody and anybody that's had a modicum of success this year, and if you're in real estate or mortgages or insurance or financial planning, then that should be true for you, assuming you were able to adapt. But I think what I really want our audience to gain from what you guys are saying is that we're learning.
Yeah.
That while we have to kind of take life as it comes, and we have to know how to roll with the punches, and we have to be better at reacting than acting, as long as we're learning every step of the way, that's really going to be one of the most important pieces of this puzzle going forward. And that should probably be true in life. It probably shouldn't take a pandemic to kind of spin our heads around and put us back on a course where we should know that every experience should be a learning one, that we learn from our mistakes, that making the kinds of plans like getting office space, and we're sympathetic, we're looking at a significantly larger one next door to our current operation. Those kinds of things should all be taken in stride, should all be taken as learning experiences. And then, when it comes to team, boy, I can't emphasize enough how important this is, and obviously you guys feel it too, that this is family.
It's family.
My team is my family, and and we integrate really well. Every one of them have been in my home, and know my wife and children and pets and so on and so forth. Even the ones that are allergic to my wife's cats still come over and hang out and try to avoid my wife's cats. Those kinds of things. But if you're out there and you're operating with a team, no matter what size it is, and somehow the concept of this being family has escaped you, is very, very difficult to reel back in. Please stop what you're doing and start reeling that in now. These are people that view you as one of the most important pieces in their life, and you should view them as one of the most important pieces in their life. And I know Jen and I feel that way about our team. And it's not just the people that we work with, although that core group is obviously very, very important. But all the people that we had at the Mile High Mastermind event a few weeks ago, really almost family, where we want to help them take all of these experiences as learning experiences and help them grow and adapt and learn how to better react instead of act, so on and so forth. So, gosh, we've just barely gotten started, and you guys have thrown out two huge existential ideas here that I really hope our audience can latch onto. This is why we keep asking you guys to come back and do more of these podcasts with us. But awesome. All right, so I know Piper had said something a little tongue-in-cheek before we went live about what 2021 is going to look like. But let's, in a blindered fashion, in a realistic fashion, what do you guys see for 2021? What's going to change in real estate? What's going to change in team building? Certainly we still have goals. I mean, just because we all had to hit that reset button for 2020, that we had made all these amazing plans, and the Mile High Mastermind was a good example. Jen and Mindy had that thing planned to the letter in February
February.
latest.
Yeah.
And of
Yeah.
course, we had to hit the reset button, different location, different rules, different events. I mean, we really had to, we basically had to start all over again. We basically had to plan another event and, you know, like you guys said, crumble it up and throw it in the trash for the first time around. But we're still going to have plans. The last quarter of this year, certainly next year. What kinds of things do you guys see putting in place over the next 15 months that are going to further this family concept, that are going to further this, being reactive concept? This, what else do you guys have in store? What do we have in store? What are we going to see from the Knowles in the next year plus?
Well, great question. So we're really just kind of getting back to basics on what we're doing, whether it's on the team, with our clients, with our leadership. All of the things we're doing are just really tearing everything down. What's really important? What is the purpose of us doing this? And what's the intention here? So we can come up with crazy goals that just they are really wearing on me. I carry a goal on my shoulder like a weight, and that is not a good thing during a pandemic. And that was really hard for me at the beginning of this because I was focused on this incredible goal we made at the beginning of the year, and I just kept seeing how we wouldn't achieve it. And it was really, really hard on me. So I've had to change my focus dramatically to, okay, well, that's there and that's what it is. But how can I help people that are ready, willing, and able to do something right now? And how can I give them the greatest service and the greatest education through this? Because right now, truly, we're doing triage real estate. I have no idea what next week's going to be in real estate. Right now, I know what it is. And if you can do something now and you can afford it and it's comfortable, do it. If you can't, just wait. So we've kind of had to change our whole process and how I handle clients and how our team handles clients and how we work with people to really look at the longer terms. Are we going to go into a housing crisis in the future? I think it's going to be hard not to. It's hard to say right now because there's no data that indicates anything. So we have a really limited amount of information. We're trying to make guesstimates, for lack of a better term, on what next year is going to look like. Right now we know that interest rates are low. We know that the inventory is really rough, and we know that there's a lot of people that are in forbearance right now that may have a problem when that comes due. So I'm kind of looking at a lot of different things and making sure that we're being really strategic with our clients. If we have clients right now that are in a position to sell something that maybe they bought at the wrong time in the market and they paid too much for it, they can still get out of it. Maybe renting is a good option for a little bit until the market shifts. So we're trying to really look at things in a much wider scale for each individual client and each person to see what the best strategy is going into the next couple of years, because it's going to change. It has to.
That's brilliant. And I think the triage aspect of it really makes a lot of sense. And again, I think that kind of folds back into being more reactive than proactive. And we need to deal with the emergent circumstances first, like you would in triage on a battlefield. I think that's really, really well said, Piper. That may be one of the most profound things that we end up getting out of this, unfortunately, but it is true. But the lack of foresight for all of us, not just for you guys or for us, into what the housing market's going to look like is definitely a major issue for everybody right now. We've lived and will continue to live in this issue, or in this arena where we have a supply and demand issue without equivocation. There's just not enough housing. We're not going to solve that anytime soon. Could be decades in the major urban areas. Now, obviously, the rural areas have suffered. People were moving into the urban corridors, which is why we have this housing shortage in droves, and not just Denver, but LA, Atlanta, New York, San Francisco, on and on. And I thought for years and years that we were just going to see this trend for years and years. Then we have a pandemic. We've certainly started to see, just so you guys are aware, where we have some forbearance issues. It wasn't really a forbearance, it was a modification. All 6 months of those payments are now due. You owe us $18,000. So there are a lot of those kinds of things that are going to surface, and as more and more of them do, what kind of crisis does that lay, what kind of issue does that lay in a housing crisis in these urban corridors like Denver? But I think what will also lend a bigger issue, although, almost a subconscious one, is that thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of businesses are realizing we don't need 1,000 square feet in office space. We can do daily Zoom meetings. Our people could live in a rural environment at a fraction of the cost of what it would cost them to live in the urban corridor, and they can still produce, they can still get their work done. What does that do to change the scope, the focus, the overall picture of what the housing market looks like? Do we accelerate that process? Do we solve an inventory shortage? Do we start to see a shift into a balanced market, or dare I say even a buyer's market? Wow, those words, feel really weird coming past my lips, in a much shorter order than what we had all thought because of ripple effect issues. You throw a pebble in a pond, eventually the ripples get all the way to the shore. But some of those ripples, like all these businesses being able to figure out that they don't need their employees in the office. Now those employees don't have to commute anymore. Now they can work from home wherever the hell they want. That might mean North Pole, Alaska, of all places, where there is probably not an urban corridor housing shortage issue. Do we see an acceleration of what we think could be, I don't want to say it's a housing crisis, because every time in your career, there's been a housing crisis. Is it a shortage? Was it short sales? Was it REOs? Whatever the next one is going to be. And for all of those of you that are in real estate and have some kind of stagnant mentality about how, maybe short sales was the magic way to go about your careers, you're probably struggling right now if you haven't adapted. So as long as you remain dynamic, remain adaptive, then you're probably okay in business. But for the general consumer, for the public, for the homeowner, are we accelerating that process of getting back to a buyer's market because of the pandemic?
Certainly, I think the human behavior's got to kick in at some point, right? Because we do deal with clients. The thing that we're trying to focus on now for the rest of the year is just be in flow with as many people as we can and listen more than we talk, right? Find out what the real pain is. And what we're having in those conversations is people are at real, it was always kind of this tongue-in-cheek thing, like, oh, if you ever find something out in the sticks with a few acres, we might want to do that, and then you talk to them again, they're like, well, man, it was more of a pipe dream. Now people are actually taking action on this, right? It is a very sustained behavior that we're seeing across the board. I'll be interested to see what this happen, how this happens into Q1 and Q2 of next year. If this continues, then I think you've got a real trend that you've got to pay attention to. What we're trying to be mindful of is that just could be a knee-jerk reaction, right? Like, oh my God, the virus is in the elevator in my downtown condo building. I have to get out. I have to go to the burbs or out to the sticks. I say the sticks, just some acreage out in the, in the more rural areas. We're seeing people take a lot of action in that regard, but I just don't know if that's a sustained behavior yet. To me, early next year is really going to be a telling factor on what we're going to truly see, and what the wake is going to be in that urban corridor, in those urban environments where you've got, high density housing that is now just gone. It's just abandoned, and people are not real keen on that stuff. I think one of the things that you're going to see systemically that could help affordable housing is you're going to have these commercial properties that are just sitting vacant. If there is a way to figure out legislatively and on a local government level, in partnership in public and private funding, how you can turn some of those buildings into affordable housing or housing opportunities for people that maybe didn't have that, not letting those properties become vacant for so long. So I think there's going to be some opportunities for people to do some really cool stuff and bring people back into the urban corridor. But it is definitely happening. There's a behavioral shift that is happening right now. That'll be interesting to see how long it sustains. But we've got to pay attention to the behavior more than anything. The actions that are happening, we have to pay attention to them. And that's what our team's trying to do is, where is the ball going, right? It's the Wayne Gretzky quote. Don't play the puck where it is, play it where it's going to be. I know you're a huge hockey fan, but that always resonates with me, is how do we get ahead of this thing? So we're just trying to be in flow with our clients as much as possible. What we're hearing is they are tapping into HELOC money. They are tapping into savings to do some upgrades to their houses. We've had a lot of those conversations. What should I do with my money on my house right now? So those are we're just trying to stay in flow with people and prepare them, give them as many options as we can. That's why you're a great lender, is you don't just get the deal done. and say, well, here's your mortgage, you are in constant flow with them about, here's a mortgage product that could benefit what you're trying to do 5-10 years from now, right? It's not, that's the puck, right? That's where we're trying to go. So we're just coaching our team to be as mindful and as just listen as much as possible. Keep probing. We're not here to sell anything today. We're just here to learn. That's the approach that we're trying to take. And hopefully that pays off.
Well, and I think it has, as we've been making these phone calls, trying to talk to people and really just come from a service aspect. I gave up on sales in April. I said, nope, I don't care this year. I'm having one of my best years ever because of the approach that we've gone at this. It's not a, hey, you have to go do this right now. It's a, hey, what would you really need to be happy where you're at? And whether that's us helping them with resources to remodel their basement or to build an office, we did that in our own house. We took out a bedroom and put in an office because all of a sudden we're home with teenage girls all the time. And there's 4 people on internet and 4 people on Zoom calls, and it was chaos. So we started doing that same thing with our clients. And we realized a lot of people did need bigger houses or different layouts. A lot of like the neighborhood communities where it was really intentional to get people out in the world and had the really small yards, those people are now selling because they don't want to be stuck in a 4x8 backyard. They need to have a place set for their kids when the park down the street gets shut down because of COVID. So it's changing a lot of those things. So we were able to really kind of tap into our clients' needs a lot more and have that really honest conversation. It was shocking to me how honest people were with where they're at and where they wanted to be, because that was something we really did experience a lot more through this, where people, they want us to call, they want to talk to us, they want to know how we can help them, and they know that we care. And that started to translate to a lot of sales. So we did a lot of
all big issues right now.
Yeah.
The trust, the delivering of the bad news, the fact that people just want to talk, they want to interact. Those kinds of things, all big factors right now, for sure.
Absolutely. That's been the biggest thing is, before you would call and you would get the one ring and it goes to voicemail, or you would leave a voicemail and no call back. When COVID hit and quarantine started, we started making calls and people were like dying to talk.
You couldn't get them off the phone.
Yeah, it was, I'm just gonna make this 5-minute call and 40 minutes later, you're still talking. People they're hungry for this. They need interaction. So take advantage of the opportunity to just connect with people. Don't have an agenda. Just ask as many questions as you can.
And the efforts that we put forward, that all of you listening, the efforts that you put forth right now in your relationship building during what's really a vulnerable time for everyone. I mean, you heard Piper say that, some of this ends up in clients being far more upfront and honest than she'd ever witnessed. You heard Justin say that even within their team, people are laughing and crying in their morning meetings. People are vulnerable. If we do what we can to shore that up, to embrace that vulnerability with each other, we're going to build relationships that will literally last forever. This is just one of the most opportune times to build that family, to strengthen the friendships that you already have, the family relationships that you already have, and to be that same way, be vulnerable and open yourself. It will pay dividends, no question.
Yeah. We were honest and shared struggles with people about having kids, a freshman and a senior that should, for all intents and purposes, be having the time of their lives in school right now, right? Mm-hmm. This is the greatest time they'll have being in that together, and it's just not real. And so that was a pain point for our family, and there was a lot of tears and sadness around that, but we didn't hide from that. We shared that with our clients, and they ended up in return telling us about their experiences, and then it turns into something you can really work towards. I do want to say, one thing that really helped us, guys, was we have a friend, Eric Thompson, who is just a gem of a man. Eric is he runs Windermere real estate up and out of Fort Collins. He runs pretty much all Colorado here. He's a coach. He's a speaker. He's all kinds of things. But one thing that he did was he started a daily call with just a bunch of people. You can sign up for it, and it's called Alpha State. But his focus through this that really helped us was to create an impossible goal, something that if you looked at it from afar, you go, well, that's crazy. I don't know if I'd do that. And so we did. And what's happened, I'm a Colorado guy, native, native Coloradoan, and I've never climbed a 14er. Well, during pandemic, I'm 2 in. I've done 2 of them. That was an impossible goal. It was just fun. It's to say, why not now? Why not now? Piper can share hers.
Oh, sure. So my impossible goal, I'm a Colorado native as well, and I am not a golfer by any means. My ex-husband, he was a scratch golfer. He told me when I was very young, when we first started dating, that I would never learn golf. And so I have decided to learn golf so that I could golf at all of the realtor tournaments and travel that we go to. We're supposed to go to Hawaii with NAR next year, and I wanted to be able to play on an actual golf course with people that I like and respect and not embarrass myself off the course. So that's my goal, is to become proficient in golf.
And she has, yeah. She's done
That's fantastic.
Very cool.
It was a reset, just the impossible goal. So I would urge anybody listening to dig in and think about that thing that you've always been like, man, that would be so cool. And really the point is, why not now? Why not now? There's more grace in this world. There's more understanding, I think, than we've had in a long time, and people will support you in it. So be clear in your intentions and set a goal. Go for it.
It's awesome. All right, as a Colorado native, and there are a few of us, it's amazing that 3 out of the 4 people on the podcast here are. I golf, or at least I used to. Now I try at golf. Hiked a number of 14ers as a much younger guy. I did drive to 14,000 feet last weekend, so maybe we'll chalk that one up. Got the Jeep out to the peak of Mount Bross. But this is brilliant stuff. For those of you listening to, this is a great time to set that epic goal. And it doesn't just have to be personal, although I love that. But business goals are great too. There is something you've all pined after, that system, that employee, that sales goal, whatever it may be. Hiking 14ers, learning to play golf. These are amazing, and I could not be more proud of Piper and Justin. I hope you guys are proud of you too, because this is really
That's awesome.
We're mostly just more tired and sore now.
Yeah,
that's all.
for sure.
Okay, and that's all right. Okay, so 2021 goal: get a hot tub.
Yeah.
We have one. We don't use it very
Use
much.
that.
Use the hot tub.
2021 goal: use the hot tub. You won't be as sore. That is fantastic. What about you, Jen? What do you think would be some epic personal, professional goals? What's that unachievable?
Well, I mean, mine that I dove into through all this was yoga teacher training
Oh yeah, that's
in
right.
the middle of quarantine. So I'm almost halfway done with it now.
That's
So
incredible.
Awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
Professionally, not to be so scared at speaking at public events. That would be a big one for me.
Well, you are making that goal in leaps and bounds based on what I saw you do last February when we were still traveling to what I saw you do at the Mile High Mastermind event. You are getting there.
That's
Getting
awesome.
That's
Yeah.
a good professional goal.
there. What about you, Adam? What's yours?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's any particular secret that, the big goal for Adam, not necessarily long term, but certainly sparked by a lot of this, is to be able to eventually step out of my mortgage practice and focus 100% on coaching and teaching and speaking, maybe write another book, these kinds of things. It's certainly a longer goal than 1 year, than 2020 or even 2020 into 21. I've got my sights on doing it by the end of 23. That will lead to one of my more personal goals, which would be to be basically on a much more flexible time frame. And I know everybody out there is thinking about getting into real estate and mortgages thinks, well, your time is flexible. And yes, absolutely right. I can do whatever I want with the other 12 hours in the day. You bet.
Yeah.
I did see a great meme this week about all the people who think real estate means you have a flexible schedule, as I cry eating my grocery store or my gas station dinner in the car at 7:50 p.m. before I go show some houses. Yes, you can absolutely have your gas station dinner in your car in whatever 5-minute window you have. Feel free.
Yes.
But that will lend a lot more time for me to spend with my kids while they're still in school and in formative years and those kinds of things, which is the big goal. So Yeah, that would be spectacular from my perspective as well. And yeah, a little chat with Justin and Piper is always good for a kick in the ass to keep those goals alive. So I do love that. This has been amazing. I would be willing to bet, I'll go look, that we've already blown through 30 minutes, and we did, as usual.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, but good for us. That's how we roll. So yeah, let's certainly have you guys back again as regulars, because the amount of insight that you're able to give to us, I assume, plays to our audience as well. If you guys listening aren't getting the same kind of warm fuzzies that Jen and I do from Justin and Piper, from Piper and Justin. Sorry, I'm trying to go back and forth equally here. Then you're really missing out. You got to track these people down and see what they're up to. Knowles, how do we find you?
Man, how do we find us? Social media wise, I don't even know.
I'm off
That's a good
social
one.
media for a minute. I got sick of it.
We did push pause on it, but our team is still on there. The Knoll team. You'll find us on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We have all kinds of videos out there. Things about the market, things about the process of buying and selling, all kinds of info out there. You can always hit us up on our separate social media channels, Facebook or whatever. We have purposefully stepped back from the personal social media stuff, but our team is still rocking and rolling on it. So it's been nice. I think you can always text us.
Call, email.
I'm at 303-550-0096.
And I'm 720-935-0895. Piper at theknollteam.com. Justin at
There you go.
theknollteam.com.
Simple.
We're easy to find.
There you go. If you can't find us today, something's wrong.
You're not looking hard enough.
Right?
Seriously. Yeah, you guys are not exactly hiding. We get it.
We're a little.
Yeah, understood. All right. Well, thank you again for doing this with us. Having you guys on the podcast is always.
Adam and Jen,
My pleasure.
man, what you guys are doing during this time and the way that you're attacking things and keeping people upbeat and positive and giving them direction, this is what this world needs now. And whether it feels like there's nobody watching or listening, there is, and you are having a tremendous effect on it. And I can tell you personally, for us, just knowing that you guys are here doing this work it makes a difference. So keep going. We watch, we listen, we love you guys, and you are making an effect on things. So keep going. We need it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. Again, get your warm fuzzies from the Knoll team. This is how they roll, people. It's authentic. It's admirable. We love you guys. All right. So for those of you that want access to more of our episodes, if you want to be a guest on the show, if you want a copy of my book, if you want to find out how to find us on all three podcast platforms that Jen has now gotten set up. They are Google, Apple, and Spotify. I'm sure all of that information is available in the ping you'd get back by using our text code. Text TIPS to 63566, and it should ping you back all that stuff. And again, Knowles, thank you so much for joining us. I have no doubt we'll do this again next year. Hopefully, we're in a much different circumstance than we are today, than we were 6 months ago. I long for precedented times.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. Enough of this unprecedented crap. Okay.
I just want to turn on the news and not have it say breaking news.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Just news. Just repeat news.
Just
Yeah.
the weather or something about a puppy. Anything.
Tesla has released a car. Cool. It's 2016 or whatever it was, but 2016 was fine. All right. Well, thank you again, guys, and for all of those of you watching live or listening in syndication, have a great one, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.